Hello. Well, you all seem ready to get started. After Jennifer Munro's really awesome story, essay, advice, I feel pretty obligated to tell you all about a thing that happened to me earlier today. I'm going to tell you the short version, which is that there was a pregnant woman to whom people were saying, "You're pregnant." And she was like, "Yes." And then there was another woman there to whom people were saying, "You're pregnant." She's like, "But I'm not." And then I said to them, this is in a professional setting, I said to them, "I think I would be flattered if someone thought I was pregnant." So that's my story. There was dead silence for a good 5 seconds, which is a long time when it's completely silent, when you don't want it to be silent. And then they kind of laughed, and I think that we're still on good terms. You think someone would want to have a baby with me? That's what it comes down to. Yeah. I'm very picky, actually, so very picky. All right, we're going to move right on forward, not laterally, with John Osebold. I said it. Yes, 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 woo! So John told me some really cool things about himself that may or may not be true. I'm going to tell you those things first. He was born with a third ear and a premature gill, both on his right side. It's exciting because when he reads, he goes like this, so you won't be able to tell. But if you can tell, you can see the small bumps that serve as evidence. But I can't see you, John. Are you still here? Hey, okay. So I'm going to check that out. When he was a kid, a violin string broke and snapped him in the eye when he was playing a recital. So he still plays, but he gets a little bit scared when he tunes string instruments. He has a bad Michael Caine impression, which I hope he will grace us with at some point this evening. And when he was in high school, were any of you voted most likely to something in high school? No. No, me neither. But John was. John was voted most likely to appear on Saturday Night Live. And he says, quote, "So they're a bunch of liars." And this is the sort of realish bio that he sent me. So I'll read this. John Osebold is a drunk. No! Sorry, he's drunk. That's different, I'm sorry. I'm going to start over. John Osebold is drunk. But he doesn't drink. It's a riddle. He makes riddles out of music and theater and fiction and video and unstageable plays, often under the name Osebold, and he makes no money from them. His newest Osebold show is called Dream House, part of the City Arts Fest, October 18th, 19th, and 20th. It's going to be super intelligent and will make you ruin your pants. He's also going to be a father soon, so get ready to not see him for a while. Please welcome John Osebold.
Thank you. Hello. Hi. What's up? What's that? Yes, I do. I don't really have anything else to tell you about the story, so I'm just going to read it to you. This is a little bit of fiction that Brian asked if I would read tonight. So get ready. Because it's right here. Page 1. Oh. Reed awoke one morning to find the city out of focus. First he thought his kitchen window was dirty, then he thought his eyesight was damaged, but neither was the case. The skyline and all the towers made of concrete, steel, and glass were fuzzy. The tallest towers were missing their tops. Reed couldn't decide whether or not to have breakfast. He was hungry, but an entire city being out of focus, wouldn't that warrant a change in one's routine? A symbolic change, as when an acquaintance dies or a hurricane decimates an entire city? In the end, out of respect, he made only toast. On his way out of the apartment, he snuck a banana as well. Reed sought a second opinion on the fuzzy city for fear he might be experiencing a stroke or an exceptional midlife crisis, even though he was 28. His building manager, Daisy, was standing outside the front door, staring at the skyline. "Hi, Daisy," said Reed. "The buildings are blurry," she said to herself. "Yeah, oh, okay, good." And he went off to the clinic. Reed was a receptionist at the Norton Health Clinic downtown. This was his 7th year behind the desk, despite its irrelevance to his forestry degree. In 7 years, he had metamorphosed from hothead to routine with feet. He welcomed the transformation. Living the same day over and over made him feel like he was going to live forever. The exquisite mundanity. Mundanity? Mundanity? Thank you. It was bliss. Reed wondered if the clinic would be too blurry to work at today. He longed to see his desk. As the buildings drew closer, the blur intensified, like getting too close to an impressionist painting. It gave Reed a headache, and by the time he reached the downtown core, he felt inebriated. His shoes sank into the ground, and the once solid asphalt was never more. It reminded him of a dream he had as a boy, walking uphill on a street of fresh fallen maple leaves submerged under a 3-inch pool of water during some kind of half-autumn twilight. He missed those kind of dreams. Now he just dreamed about being naked in public or accidentally having sex with dead relatives. It dawned on Reed that there was no one else. No people, no cars, no buses. Had they all been swallowed by this mystery blur fog? Was he next? Reflexively, he checked his hands, but they were crisp and clear. He reached out toward a building. His hand passed through a foot of wall before he retracted it, unconsciously wiping it on his jacket. Okay, no clinic today. Then around the corner came a blurry figure. It walked right at him. He froze. "Hello," said a female voice. "Hi," said Reed. "You can see me?" "Yes, I see you clear as a bell," the female voice replied. "Not like me, I'm a mess." No, you look great," Reed complimented reflexively. "I'm blurry," she said. Reed nodded, then quickly added yes a moment later, forgetting that she could see him just fine. "Would you do me a favor?" she asked. "Sure." "Will you tell my husband I'll be late?" "What?" "I'll be late." "No, I mean, why me? Why don't you tell him?" "I can't get a signal," she said. Reed thought she appeared to be holding up her phone. "I'm holding up my phone," she said. "But your husband, won't it sound suspicious coming from a stranger?" Reed disliked having to be the more socially conscious of the two. "Just tell him a few things and he'll know it's me." The female blur's name was Claire. Her husband's name was Matthew. Her phone number spelled out Night Taco 1. She wouldn't have time to pre-prepare dinner, so could Matthew put on the rice and make sure the chicken was thawed out? Also, Alex and Kathy would need to be told to arrive a little later, but they were to be phoned, not texted, and call Kathy first. New light bulbs were in the utility closet on the main floor, and the laundry didn't have to be folded, but it would be nice if you had time, Matthew. Claire said thank you and walked away. A whole minute passed before Reed realized he didn't have his phone. He felt he had ruined Claire and Matthew's dinner plans. The guilt gnawed at him. For 20 minutes, he wandered the headache streets looking for the Claire blur, but he couldn't find her. He finally gave up, mumbling an apology, and decided to go home. But he was too disoriented. So thick was the non-fog. Street names and landmarks were obscured beyond recognition. Reed began running as the city blocks grew wider. Buildings grew softer and receded. His head hurt. He was out of shape. Panic lodged in his spine. There was no way out. Then a door appeared. It was painfully sharp and detailed compared to everything else around it. Familiar, too. It was the entrance to Nathan's bar. Now, Reed passed by that oak door many times, always wondering what it might be like at the end of a workday to open that door, perch atop a bar stool, and drink a hefty brew. Those were, in fact, the only moments in Reed's life when he invoked the phrase hefty brew. And here now was his chance to toss back a hefty brew in the mysterious ale hall belonging to Nathan, a man or woman. The chance to look at that oak door every day from here on out and say, yes, I have passed through that door. That door saved my life during the great blur of whatever year it was. That door, which, upon closer inspection, was carved with beautiful patterns that spread from the far corners to the swirling center. They looked Celtic. Reed saw Celtic patterns only once in a high school textbook or a website. And here now was a Celtic-ish door, and it was a symbol that tied everything together, from ages past in a country across the world, all the way up to this very moment, at this very spot. He was standing on a turning point, the beginning of a new chapter. Reed stared at the door for another minute before he walked on. It was midday, maybe. The city was nearly a complete cloud. In his pocket, Reed found an old bus schedule for the number 20. He focused on it to offset the effect the wall of blur was having on his eyesight. He took the number 20 only once to visit the aquarium. Now, that was a strange day. He set out in the morning when Flora at the health clinic called him and said there had been a shooting on the same block and he wouldn't be able to come into work. He thought it odd that he couldn't go to his job at a health clinic where there might be shooting victims seeking aid and scheduling follow-up appointments. Nevertheless, he took the opportunity to visit the aquarium. He had been watching a lot of YouTube videos about marine life and thought that observing the creatures of the ocean would provide respite from thinking about the shooting and his unpaid vacation hours. First, he stopped at a cheesesteak shop he had always wanted to try. It was dreadful. Then he caught the number 20 to the aquarium. The bus was sad and crowded. The aquarium was expensive, but uncrowded. Reed wandered from tank to tank, but felt nothing. Was this a dumb idea? He walked up to the electric eel tank and stared directly into the eel's eyes, hoping for some sort of connection. The eel stared back, then let off an electric charge and was dead. There was no doubt about it. The eel had committed suicide. Reed scanned for witnesses. Then he walked away. He decided to call the trip a bust and then headed for the door when he passed by a glass column teeming with jellyfish. Lit by soft, reddish light, the jellyfish floated in space, free of thought, free of desire. It was hypnotic. Reed steered toward the column and past it into the realm of the large marine creatures. There were huge koi, then baby sharks. Though he had never been particularly afraid of sharks, Reed now felt a quiet, respectful fear of them. And he walked further and ended up in a black room with a single tank. A blue, beyond blue, filled the other side of the glass wall. It was a magic blue developed by wizards, infused with ocean secrets. Reed waited for something to happen, though time didn't seem to move at all. Several non-minutes passed. Then, from within the blue, a beluga whale appeared and drifted toward Reed. It floated jellyfish-like, looking unearthly and squishy. The whale locked eyes with Reed, It wore a permanent grin on its face, which bothered Reed at first. For a moment, he worried it was going to kill itself too. But this whale was the opposite of the eel. Its eyes revealed a depth, plunging into a beautiful darkness. In its gaze, Reed felt himself slip into a subconscious pocket, and without thinking, he emitted a long hum. The whale floated in concert with the hum, and Reed took quick breaths to maintain an unending sonic continuum. The whale slowly turned upside down, holding its infinite gaze. Was this a playful gesture or a mortal sign? Reed hummed louder. Live, whale, live. A small boy entered the room and stood next to him. Reed was aware of the boy, but couldn't break his cosmic line of understanding with the beluga for fear that it would die. The boy watched him hum with intensity. The child then turned his attention to the upside-down whale and joined Reed. But the boy didn't hum so much as he... This irritated Reed. But not so much as the whale diverting its attention from Reed to the boy. To me, whale, to me. Not wanting to lose favor, Reed, too, opened his mouth and tried to match the boy, both of them gurgling horrible noises at the tank. But the whale would not look back at him. Reed left the room, the hideous sound following him. He strode out of the large marine creatures, past the stupid sharks, through a crowd that had gathered around the electric eel tank, and out the front door. But the hum still lingered. It permeated the air, turning it into spirit air. Over the mind sound, Reed saw the disembodied eyes of the beluga, intersected by a column of jellyfish. The effect created a blue in Reed's mind, bluer than the richest blue. And then he threw up his cheesesteak. Anyway, strange day overall. Reed's eyesight strained from concentrating on the number 20 schedule. He no longer felt any desire to escape. Perhaps this is what the jellyfish felt like. The soft blob nature of everything made him drowsy. He sat on a blurry staircase. It was as soft as it looked. He sank several inches into the concrete and dozed off. Blur gave way to darkness. Reed's dream world was clear and colorful. In a room with magic blue carpet, he sat behind his desk at the clinic. But the desk was twice as large, and soft reddish lights shined down. The objects on his desk, pens, sticky notes, tape dispenser, stapler, computer, photo of Claire and Matthew, were arranged in Celtic patterns. These objects were subjects in his kingdom, and he couldn't stop observing them. He marveled at it all. A man in his late 40s approached the desk and asked Reed something, but the words were muffled and fuzzy. Smiling, Reed nodded at the man, gave him a form with a clipboard and a pen, then entered data into his computer. The screen filled with incomprehensible characters. When he looked up, the man was gone. So Reed resumed observing his desktop. Over the loudspeaker flowed an unending hum. Though slightly gurgling, to Reed it was music. Everything was perfect. Reed's vision became momentarily blurry, but only because of the tears welling up in his eyes. Thank you very much. Thanks for listening. I appreciate it.